Good morning, Xander.
Good morning.
Um, Basically, it's all about today. We will review last session, if that's okay with you.
In the last session, I got some improvement about many dimensions. Firstly, I knew how to write a letter to ask question to these professors in my university. We should attach more importance to the whether or not we use the second name or the first name. We learned a lot about the format of the letter.
Right.
Like the first name, middle name, and the second name. Second name is family name or surname.
Correct.
Sometimes we just need to call the person's second name or family name. Like my teacher is Housewood. In the firstly we can write Mr. Housewood and add the content below it. Finally, we can add your sincerely or sincerely on the below the content.
Right.
Also, we accumulate some pronunciation knowledge about.
Right.
Let me see.
Okay.
The lack of water.
Right.
Like the scarcity.
Right.
The scarcity of water, or we can paraphrase the lack as shortage.
Yes.
Like some destination pronunciation, like Preachers Park,
Right.
London,
Right.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then we talk about some culture gap between the Chinese people and the Western people.
Yes.
Even the Asian people and the Western people.
Right.
They concerns a lot about the freedom or the liberation. So they are willing to go to the nightclub to drink some alcohol to release pressure.
Right.
That is difficult to understand for us.
Yes.
But it's just a way to relax.
Right.
Relax is relax.
Yeah.
Secondly, we talk about some homeless people.
Yes.
You listed and explained some key reasons about it, like the mental health, the family breakdown.
Correct.
And some reasons behind it.
Yes.
Not just on the surface.
Correct.
At the end of the last class, I put a statement about my study.
Right.
Of my study.
Right.
As to bring more values to reverse the society is my core value. And I also accumulate some new words like stressful and unconsciously. To mention the word unconsciously, I learned it just because we talk about how to learn English well.
Right.
Like when we sleep.
Yes.
Some people, I also have heard some people call me. It's like that.
Yes.
Unconsciously.
Yes, subconsciously, unconsciously, yes.
Yes, that's all.
Yeah, good. So let me just understand what you have said to me. I'm going to repeat it in a short form, all right? Like you reviewed the last session to me. I was listening. You were talking. So I need to comprehend what you said, and I can try and repeat back to you to see if I've understood what you said to me. Right? So we talked about how to address people, like how to write an email. So we said we can write Mr. Horsley, or we can write Dear Nicholas or Dear Mr. Horsley. People usually have first name, some people will have middle name, and people will have surname, the last
The
name.
middle name is best to indicate your specific name. It's not necessary to use it in the
No, middle name is not necessary to use when we are writing an email.
We just need to say dear Mr. Last name.
Correct.
First name.
Or you can just
Or
say
first
Dear David or Dear Xander, or you can call me Dear Mr. Andrew, because that's my. When you say put Mr.
Oh yeah.
So
see.
when you say Mr., when you give somebody a title, then you put Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or Doctor. Then you can put the last name.
Like dear Mr. Zizhan.
Correct.
Dear Gong.
Correct. Some people will. Well, that's a
Mr.
professional way to write. But if you don't want to use the title, you can just put like the first name, Dear Nicholas, Dear David, Dear Xander. Right? So that we talked about when you write email, and how to sign off in the end. Yours sincerely,
Yeah.
or
sincerely.
kind regards. Yeah.
Kind regards.
Kind
Thank
regards,
you.
warm regards, best regards. Yeah. And then you talked about what else did we talk about? We talked about the addressing, how do you write an email? Then we talked about homeless people and the challenges the homeless people face. And also we talked about the Western culture and the differences of how people behave and how people think in the Western culture compared to people from an Asian culture, from an Eastern culture. Then we also talked about we talked about water, and we used the word scarcity, different kind of vocabulary that you can use. Scarcity could mean shortage, lack of, or less water, depending how you want to use it. So I think we covered quite a bit last week, and I'm glad that you wrote it down so you can remember. And you said to me,
And knew what to cope with.
cope, manage, deal with it. They're all different. They are called synonyms. Like you can say the word cope or manage.
I know that.
Is a synonym, right? That's a synonym. So today session, which is our third session today, if you can bring up the lesson plan for today, session plan, please. So what we have to do now? So what have you learned from the second session? What have you learned? What did you learn? How do you feel about the second session? Has it made you feel that you're getting better? Can you remember a lot of things now that we discussed?
Definitely. I believe that some people some people that can hardly learn some non-native speakers that
Right.
just because their pronunciation is bad.
Right.
And secondly, we learn we should blend the cultural diversity together.
Correct. Use it now because you've
And
learned
how
something.
to write a letter to teacher.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah. So you've learned 3 things, which is good that you keep on practicing it now. Learning and then practicing, which will help you to get better. You'll feel more confident.
Today, I think this week I have many opportunities to have access to foreigners,
Really?
like fencing.
Right. You mean to say fencing club? You do
Yeah.
fencing, okay.
fencing, FENCING.
Right.
a girl who is in my opposite direction
Right.
give me some specific guide and inspiration. So when I do the wrong act, he correct my act and inspire me.
Oh, wow.
Keep moving. And in the Wednesday, as I mentioned before, I took part in the firework. And beside the firework, there is an amusement park which can be removed.
Right.
It is just a place nearly one day.
Right. Okay. Did you go somewhere?
Definitely, there are loads of people.
Oh, yes. It's very crowded, isn't it? Very crowded.
Yeah, it is a circle which can spin.
Okay.
And
Did you do any video of it?
I have got a video about other people because I'm.
Oh, okay. I'm going to show this is how it looks like. Wow. What we'll do is, right, for listening and speaking in English about the Western culture and food, what I have done, I've found some video links that we can watch. And we'll watch the video, and then we both together will watch it, and then you can tell me what have you understood after watching the video.
As you mentioned before, you said we need to blend. I agree with you. We need to blend the cultural diversity together. So from this video, I know the Western cultures has combined so many elements.
Yes.
And with the process of the development,
Yes.
they combine some new thoughts like humanity, like the racism, and to nowadays globalization.
Right.
There is a process in the Western cultures, and some people define it using different psychology knowledge.
Correct. You're absolutely right. Because Western culture is made up of many different peoples over many centuries, maybe many thousands of years. But the values of freedom of speech, human rights, democracy, all these things grew more popular as part of our thinking. Just not from one group of people. Many people came from different parts of the planet and formed the Western culture because it falls on the west part of the map. Right? On the global map, this is Western, that is Eastern. Values or the way the culture function is in the Western thinking is that we have democracy.
The ethical standard, the civilization.
Yes.
And technology and knowledge.
Yes. It's a civilization rather than a culture. It's more of a Western civilization. And civilization means that people from different parts of the planet as people live as a civilization together, right? So we have different ideas. People practice many religions in this country, right? And they live in the Western world. So that gives a little insight into understanding what is Western culture or what is Western civilization. Culture is a group of people doing things the same way. That's what culture means. Culture means like all Chinese people who live in the UK, in Birmingham, they can be together and they can create a Chinese culture. Western culture as a whole is very different in different countries. But we have main thing, we are democratic country, democracy, freedom of speech, human rights, etc., etc., etc. So there are many things. You can actually read more about it.
Yeah, I've experienced a lot in the UK.
Right. Okay, now going back to the second video, what is your immediate feeling of what you have listened on the second video about Western culture, of how people in China think about the Western culture?
today, with the development of the globalization, the Chinese people are becoming more westernization.
Okay.
So they prefer to watch some TV shows,
Right.
like some shows that people want to find a partner or
Right.
wife.
Dating. Yes.
And as for the website and the government strict on some of the website,
I understand.
and some people can use some software which is popular in China, like Weibo,
Right.
WeChat.
Right.
As for the Western culture, some Chinese people believe it represents freedom, open mind, and humanity. There are many shows that I've learned that I've seen before. I think even though there are some it is not reasonable in
Right.
that shows, but it is a stress reliever.
Okay. Right. Now the third video, which is a short video, is about a Chinese student who enjoys being in the Western culture. So, are your thoughts on the video now? What do you feel about?
So
What do you feel about how Chinese people think about the Western culture influence in China? How do they feel about it?
they're looking forward to it. So instead of replacing the culture, replacing the Western culture, I think it's better to mix them together.
Okay.
Like the KFC, which is a restaurant in China, makes the Chinese cuisine and the Western cuisine. In the KFC, you can eat fried rice in many stores. And even though there are some restrictions in China about defining towards Western culture, some people are also pursuing the Western culture.
Right.
And it has become the part and parcel of their life.
Right. Okay. So, in today's session, we got a understanding of when people come from China to the UK and they look at the Western culture in reality, in real life, because you are here. Now you can see the difference in your thinking. When you're in China, you think about the Western culture, what the government maybe tells you, or the feelings that you have from other friends that you hear. But when you come to the UK, maybe the experience might be different. Is that how you feel?
There are not some big back in my mind between after and before I came to UK, because I have realized that the social basic infrastructures in the UK is relatively bad compared with China.
Relatively sorry, what?
Social infrastructure.
Yes, is
Social
relatively
facility is relatively bad compared with China.
relatively bad. Bad compared to China.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've thought it before, unlike other Chinese people.
Right.
So so I have came to the UK, so I have to observe some advantage rather than the disadvantage
Okay.
in the Western culture.
Right. So I understand what you're saying. When you came to the UK, before coming to the UK, you had preconceived ideas.
Yeah.
The word is preconceived. That's a new word that you can learn. Preconceived.
Preconceived.
Yeah. Now, since you are here in the UK, you are noticing the difference. Because we all have ideas in our minds because people are telling us. But until you arrive into the situation, you think, oh, that's what people were telling me. Some of it is true. Maybe your experience might be different now. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So the new word for you to understand is the preconceived ideas. Yeah, that's a new part of the vocabulary, right? Okay. We said we are going to talk a little bit about food. Now, what would you like to know about food? Because there's a video about Western food also.
I think Western food contains the extremely high level of calories and fat.
Okay.
Especially the donuts.
Especially the donuts. The donuts.
China mainland friends and my family members.
Right.
They was shocked by the sweet level of these donuts.
It's very high fat content, very sweet. What else do you know about food, Western food? What else have you learned?
Honestly, I just learned some chips has became well-known food in the UK.
Chips.
Whether or not you are eating fried chickens or the pancakes.
Okay.
You must eat some foreigners fancy eating some chips simultaneously.
Okay. Would you like to see a video about Western food?
Definitely.
Traditional Western food. We are learning in many different styles of English. We are learning, we are speaking. So, it's all about, we are video about the food. What are your feelings about English food? What do you think we eat for breakfast, for lunch, for afternoon, and what do we drink in England traditionally?
Yeah, from the breakfast, the traditional food should be some beans, some tomato beans, and milk tea, and fried eggs. That is normal for the Western people.
Right.
In the lunch or some formal food,
Right.
there still is some fish which can be cooked in many ways, which really surprised me.
Okay.
And there are loads of pies, different kinds of pie, like fish pie, mushroom pie, and chickens.
That
That is very popular in the Western culture.
Okay.
Expect from this food, he mentioned the beef burger, which is different from the American scale.
Right.
As for the drink, beverage, the most clearly I remember
Ale. Yes.
Even though I'm not quite sure what it is, but I really heard.
I will explain to you what ale is later on.
Yeah, and tea, and Starbucks, and stuff like that.
Right. So English food or British food or English food, traditional English food is morning cooked breakfast, sausages, beans, mushrooms, black pudding, toast, bread toast with butter and jam if they want to eat, and then we have a nice mug of English tea with some milk, and some people will add sugar. So that's morning breakfast. Very, very filling, lot of calories in it, maybe about over 1,000 calories, maybe 1,200 calories, depending how much you eat. But some people need that kind of food, gives them a lot of energy for the day. Then for the lunch, people will usually go to the pub or a shop and buy some sandwiches, fish and chips, pies, lots of different kind of pies, burgers, beef burgers, and on the evening, people will eat something like evening tea. It could be again a pie or or fish fingers, or a fried egg, chicken, roast chicken. Then on Sunday is a very special day, which is we call Sunday lunch. Sunday lunch is roast dinner. It's called roast lunch. Roast lunch is like roast beef, or roast pork, or roast chicken, or roast lamb. So there are different meats that we can roast it. And we have roast potatoes, maybe boiled potatoes, mashed potatoes, and we have 3 vegetables, maybe carrots, green peas, beans, or broccoli. Normally the English plate in a restaurant, they will give you 3 vegetables at least, 3 different kind of vegetables, some roast potatoes and meat and gravy. Gravy is very important. The gravy is important to eat the meat, and also you can have. And if you go to the pub, you can drink a pint of beer or lager.
It's a pub, it's a bar. It looks like a bar. It's a restaurant, it looks like a bar.
It is a bar, but bar is a bar, which is an American word.
Pub, which can provide you with the slim environment, relatively dark environment.
Depends. Traditionally, working people after they finish work, after they finish in the factory many hundreds of years ago, all the men, after they finish work, they like to go to the pub. They have social gathering, talk about work, and they'll drink a cold pint of beer or a lager or an ale, stout. There are many different drinks. Maybe one day you and I could go and try a sample of small drinks.
That would be fascinating.
Would you like to do that? Basically, today we have covered. Do you want to look at your list today? That we have covered everything? Western culture and food, right?
Yeah.
Today. So this one is, I'm going to ask you, what else can you do to improve your English speaking skills? What do you think you need to do? The question to you is, what can you do more to improve your English speaking skills?
What else? As I mentioned before, I can listen some lectures or videos about it. Expect from that.
Okay.
In the reality.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I should have more opportunities to communicate with some local residents. It's the best, efficient way to cope with the language barrier.
Brilliant.
And I have done it.
Brilliant.
I want to get a high score of it.
Absolutely. Because the important thing about coaching, what I do to help you, is that the more effort you put into learning English, speaking English, meet English friends, English speaking friends, make some new friends who speak English, will really help you to speak in English all the time. You can have your Chinese friends, right? But also have friends who only speak English.
Yeah.
So you cannot speak with them in Chinese anymore. You have to speak in English with them. And they will speak English with you. And they will also help you.
When they face me, they know some Chinese students' English are not very good. So they intentionally soften or slow the pace of the language.
They will try and speak softly, slowly to you so you can understand. That is very good because they care about you. They want to help you.
In the nightclub in my university, there are different kinds of Western people who came from different countries like Portuguese, Spanish, or the local residents. They all speak English. So some of them, even some Indians, their English are not quite standard.
Yes.
So we can communicate with each other.
Yes. The more you speak in English, every single day whilst you're in the UK, by the time you go back to China, your English will become very good.
Yeah.
Right? So that we covered that. So you can meet people and speak English, make English friends, or make people who just speak English. Don't speak Chinese with Chinese people all the time.
Yeah, Chinese people want to play with Chinese people.
Yeah. Play means hang around. Hang around with Chinese people. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But if you have to improve your English, if you want to improve your English, I would recommend that speak with people from other countries also who are speaking English, like from India, Portuguese, or Africa, or some other countries also where people are coming to speak English. So you all can understand each other. But no chance to speak Chinese anymore, just in English. They will feel good, you will also feel very good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Do you have any other questions for me before we finish this session today?
Let me see. Give
you a
1
few
minute.
seconds. Yeah, take your time, no rush.
I have know some questions academically, so I want to have a question for you.
Ask me. Ask
you
me any
think,
questions you want.
Which is better, Indian or the UK?
What is better?
Which country is better, Indian or UK?
India or UK? Which country is better? Better in what sort of situation?
Like the social basic infrastructures, or the social environment, or the social idealism.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Can I talk about India first? Because that's where I come from. India, the social structure, the word social structure, what does that word mean to you?
I overheard some Indian daily life in Peacock, in the Peacock software, which is popular in China. Peacock.
Okay.
But there are many negative things reflected by this tourism. It's really strange.
Okay,
right?
show
if
me.
I search Indian, Indian Chinese called Indu.
Hindu, yeah.
Indu. Like this book.
This is street food.
Yes, some Chinese people can bear it.
Okay. The word you used was social structure. What is your understanding of the word social structure?
Some physical, like metro, skyscrapers.
Sorry?
Some transportation.
Yeah. Social structure is the movement of people living in a country and how they live, right? The infrastructure, the social structure. India is a developing country, in my opinion, because I come from there. It has developed quite a lot in technology, in opportunities, in infrastructure. Infrastructure means big buildings, tall buildings, satellite, space, a lot of things is happening. Socially, Indians are very family people. They are not very rich people in India. The majority of the people in India live in poverty, right? But they still have to eat, live, go to work, educate themselves, and earn money. So they do not have that kind of wealth like some people in the Western country like UK will have it.
There are many billion people living in the Union.
There are over a billion people in India. It's a very, very big population. And the people will live on the streets, live in a hut, and there are many disease. It is like many other countries, but it is much bigger because so many people, right?
The world's largest.
Yes. The rich people in India are very, very rich. And the poor people, the very poor people, have to eat from the bin. Right? So there's a big gap.
So the social mobility is low.
Yes. And that is the difference. And the government tries to help people, but cannot help everybody. It's impossible. So the opportunities in India, according to the ratio of population, is not as much as in the UK. The unemployment in India is much higher, but people will still survive, still carry on living. For them, it's not a problem. So to answer your question, is it better? So we can say, is China better than England? Or is Australia better than China? Or is Australia better than England? We don't know.
No objective. It's no meaningless.
That has got no meaning unless you define what is better. So generally, because the world now thinks globally, right? We think globally, don't we? We're all very global people. So many Indians will come here to the UK. And a lot of UK people will also go to India. And they have businesses in India. The Indian people have businesses in UK. There's a lot of migration of different people. But social structure or the social culture of India is very, very family. Family will take care of you. Even if you're poor. And people have many children. Like in China, for example, like before only one child. Now they are allowing 2 children. Now 2 children. But many, many years ago, 50 years ago, children could, China also people can have many children.
If you want to have 2 children, you may take away all your assets and
yes,
go away.
Yeah, but that is a different kind of policies, different government thinking. We will not talk about that. What I'm talking about is that people in different countries have different social structures. And because your question was, is India better than UK or UK is better than India? It's very difficult to answer that question. It is how we feel about different things we see. Right? My wife has been to India. You have never been. So if you go to India, your experience will be very different. You will always try and compare one country to your own country. Always, people do that, isn't it? Everybody compares. Oh, that thing is not like in our country. They don't do that. No, because you're in a different country. They do what they do in their country. So it's a mindset. I focus a lot on mindset. When you start traveling abroad, when you travel the world, you will learn about many countries are very different. Even a very small country in the world, and then compare with a very large country in the world. Then you go to places where there is tribal people live in the jungles. They have a different way of living. So the word better is up to you, what you think is better compared to what. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I just have interest in that.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, just interesting.
Yeah, because I've lived here 34 years, right? But when I go to India, I think, wow, feel a little bit strange. in the beginning, then after maybe 2-3 days I'm okay. And when I go to China from the UK, very noisy, a lot of noisy, lot of people in the big city. I cannot read the language, so I'm thinking, oh, my brain has to adjust. Mindset has to adjust. So how is that? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Can you eat food by hand?
Pardon?
Can you eat food by hand?
Of course, I can eat food by hand.
Like that?
When you come to my house, no, there is a very good way to eat. Not like this, but just with fingers. Because in our culture, when I grew up, we learned to eat with fingers. But the Western culture, the British culture, the English...
They can't bear it.
Huh?
They can't bear it.
They can't bear it.
They can't believe it's acceptable.
Who?
Some Western people or some Chinese.
No. Well, that's up to them. But we did not eat with chopsticks in India. We think it's crazy. When you have fingers, you eat with chopstick. You don't pick up everything with chopstick in life. You pick up things with your fingers. Do you know why they eat with chopstick in China? Do you know why?
Because the cuisine. The characteristics of the cuisine. Like
no, I can eat in China with my spoon and my fork and knife. Food I can eat. Drink soup with a spoon. Why do they eat with chopstick? Do you know?
No.
Okay. Now you should do the research on that and then tell me next time, why do Chinese people eat with chopsticks?
Yeah.
Do a bit of research. I know the answer. I already know the answer, but because you are Chinese, you should actually explain to me.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I can tell you why we eat with fingers. Because in the villages, we have very little things to make. We cook outside on the fire, and when the food is cooked, only the hot food we take with the spoon, like a wooden spoon, and we put it in our plate. But generally, because we eat rice, English people, British people, they came to India, they gave us spoons. Spoons to eat. Before we only eat with hand. Or we eat like this, like drink soup or water, like this. Like same in China. But Chinese people eat with chopstick. There's a reason for it. You need to do the research and tell me next time. So I will learn from you.
Okay.
Great. Any more questions before we close?
No.
Okay. Would you be kind enough to score the session today out of 10? How did you find the session today?
I think it's up to 10. No. It can be evaluated as 10.
It can be evaluated as 10. I appreciate that. Thank you. Because I want to make the learning experience for you fun. It's not like IELTS, read. Nobody wants that. I don't like it. That's why today we stood up there, we had a little walk, talk, relaxed. Because your brain will work easier. When you go to do your academic work, academic study, you can have the same style of learning. That's why I became very good in studies. Because when I'm at school, my mind is like, go crazy. Cannot remember anything afterwards. Lot of pressure. But later on, I learned that you can learn in many ways, not like reading a book there. Some people it's good for them, but not for me. If you feel like you have too much pressure in your head to study a lot, mentally you will feel very tired. Then you have no interest.
So if we regard the English speaking as a subject or an assignment, we will feel tired and we will regard it as a homework.
It's
as
not a
daily
homework.
study.
Yeah. It's something that you are interested in learning.
I may feel exhausted
Correct.
and take too much time on it.
It is a subject per se. English is a subject, but you have to think it as you're learning, not as an assignment. It's a language will make a lot of difference. People say you have an assignment, you have to do within 3 days and give it to us. You will feel very pressure, isn't it? And you think, oh my God, 3 days, I've got to do this, I've got to write so many things. First, to learn is to relax. Breathe, relax, drink a glass of water or cup of tea, have a little walk around, think about globally about a subject, not as an assignment. This is how I learn better. I can talk about many things to you only because I did not read a book all the time, make homework, make notes. No, I just read and I listen and I talk, and my brain is, remember I told you about listening? It is feeding your brain mind already. Nowadays you can quickly look on the internet the answer. Before, we don't have that kind of technology many years ago. So learning style is very important, Xander.
I want to show you that in the IELTS speaking test, some Chinese some Chinese teachers just give people the model of how to speak in different topics. Like, for example, the topic in IELTS is describe a good scenery that you've been to, or describe a good trip, or describe something that you have to change, so that you want to change. And the teacher told us all these topics can use these sentences.
Yes.
Like, I can recite it, like, getting around you may marvel at its pure blue, the flourishing trees and flowers give you a multiple picture. You can use this sentence in all the topics, so we just need to recite it and get a score of 6. But it's not good for our everyday English.
No.